Welcome to our virtual yoga class. We'll begin class in a seated meditation. So take a moment to adjust your seat, sitting on your ankles, cross-legged position. Those are two options. And then you'll start to check in with your core. Your core is supporting the length of your spine. Just by gently activating the core, shifting that awareness there, you can start to open, lift the chest, draw the shoulders, lengthen the spine. What I mean by lengthening the spine is sometimes we roll forward or cape forward. So here you're purposely activating that core strength to lift up. And you're adding other adjustments, drawing your shoulders down. Chin is neutral, eyes can be open or closed. We're going to inhale, exhale, side out. Another breath, inhale, exhale, optional side out. Noticing how your belly feels. Noticing your ribcage expand on an inhale. It takes an enormous amount of time and practice to continuously shift our attention back to our bodies. And then we exhale and side out. I'm recommending that intentionally just because in the beginning of class especially, we're still carrying a lot of our thoughts, our to-do list. So when we're inhaling and exhaling, sighing out, it's an opportunity to just directly welcome the body. And also it releases tension and calms the nervous system. Deep belly breath, inhale, exhale. And it's a reminder that throughout the class, our breath is our focusing tool as we work on our strength, flexibility, and balance. We're also building that bridge of the physical, mental, emotional body. That is a lifelong practice. Deep breath. Welcoming your breath, welcoming your body in this moment. Learning to slow down. And then after your next breath, if your eyes are closed, you can start to gently open your eyes. And then we'll work on our upper body. Let's lift our arms up overhead, interlace our fingers, palms up towards the ceiling. So I'm rotating my wrists out towards the palm, and my palms are facing up towards the ceiling. Gently lengthening the arms here. So gentle stretch. Now stretch towards the left side of the room and hold. Make sure that you're not crunching up around the shoulders or neck. And then back to center, opposite side. Holding here. Back to center, release your hands. Very good. Palms or hands on your knees or thighs, depending on what your seat is. Bring your shoulders up towards your ears and then draw them down. Elbows remain close to my sides, my torso. And I'm very purposely knitting my shoulder blades closer together as I roll my shoulders back. Palms remain relaxed and loose on your knees or thighs. Inhale. Exhale, release, perhaps syncing up your breath here. Inhaling, shoulders lifting up. Exhaling, releasing your shoulders down. So one of the practices, one of the tools throughout our yoga class is to sync up our breath with our body's movements. It helps with that concentration and that union, the physical, mental, emotional body. And by all means, don't stress out if your breath doesn't totally sync up. Wherever you're at, perhaps one more shoulder shrug up towards your ears, draw them down. Lift your hands, take your palms right behind your head. So my palms are behind my head, my fingers are interlaced. Elbows collapse forward, so shift your shoulders or your elbows towards the back of the room. Hold here. And now we'll invite a twist. Start to twist towards the left and towards the right. Perhaps moving very slowly and gently at the beginning so that you practice that body awareness. Noticing that twist, how that feels in your lower back, your mid back, between your shoulders. You can hold any side if that side requires some extra attention. It's a little bit more difficult to take full deep breaths in our twist, so get comfortable breath. And then after another round or two, we'll release the twist. Inhale, arms lift up overhead, palms up towards the ceiling, round your spine, chin towards your chest. When you release from the lower back, mid back, upper back, all the way to the neck, press your palms forward and release. Start to lengthen your legs out in front of you. So gently opened up throughout our torso, length of our arms and shoulders. Now we'll focus on our hamstrings. Now we tend to be very tight, especially in the beginning of class. So for a moment, we'll just flex our feet, practicing pressing our feet forward towards the front of the room. And then simultaneously, watching our spine, noticing if there's any collapse, and then lengthen the spine, draw the shoulders down. 3 breaths here. Noticing what feels tight, what feels open. Third breath. Actually welcomes a lot of strength here. It's very gentle strength pose here. And now start to drop your belly, your chest, towards your thighs or towards the floor. You can imagine there's this line, this cord pulling you down. Be deliberate in keeping your spine long here. With your feet, if you want an intense stretch, keep them flexed or relax your feet to soften the stretch. Your attention can be anywhere, honestly. I mean, you're working a lot throughout the hamstrings, but you can notice your ankles, your calves behind the knees. You can even start paying attention to the lower back. 5 breaths here. You don't necessarily have to count the breath. It's just more of an estimate of the length of time here. Allowing yourself to really concentrate here. Breathe into what's opening up and perhaps folding a little bit more, even if it's subtle. Challenge yourself here in your flexibility. Inhale. Exhale. Feel free to hear your inhale and your exhale. Release the pose. Bring both soles of the feet together. We have 2 options. Think about our cow and cat poses. You can fold over, opening the chest and sliding the shoulders back, similar to your cow pose. Or you can round your spine, tuck your chin towards your chest. Drop your belly towards the floor, neck is soft. About 2 more deep belly breaths here. And now release the pose. We'll start to shift out and lift up into our first downward facing dog of the class. So as we shift up into our downward facing dog, we're checking with our palms, spreading our fingertips wide. So you want to distribute that weight from the palms to the fingertips. The fingertips are still active here. Your arms are long, and you're purposely bringing your chest closer towards your thighs. So it's not a plank pose. You're purposely bringing your chest closer towards your thighs. You're going to have a little bend to your knees. Heels can be lifted here. Hold. You're activating strength in the V of your body, meaning the length of your arms and the length of your legs. Inhale. Exhale. Now we'll start to shift into a plank pose. We're making sure our hands are beneath our shoulders here. You're lifting your core up towards the ceiling. Not lifting, you're imagining your core, the cord, lifting your core as we have a tendency to collapse. You're engaging quads and glutes here. Lift up, downward facing dog. Remain here in your down dog. 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Plank pose, hold your plank pose, making sure you're not collapsing around the lower back. Generous breath here, and then lift back up, downward facing dog. We're working on our strength here, our endurance. Always notice what takes effort, what takes ease. Deep belly breath here. We'll start to ground our hands on the mat. Lift our right leg, bend our right knee, stack our hips to the right. Hold here. Now right knee towards that right elbow. Hover, generous breath. And then lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Release your foot down towards the floor. Take a breath here. Warming up the body here, creating some more heat. We lift our left leg, bend our left knee, stack our hips. Left knee towards that left elbow. Hover, lifting your core up towards the ceiling. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor, and then shift into a child's pose. Either knees close together or towards the edges of your mat. Return to your breath. If you're ever having some difficulty concentrating or going back to the breath, just increase the length of your inhale and your exhale. It can be subtle. You can inhale here, exhale, side out. Soften your body. 3 more breaths. And then we'll start to shift out of our child's pose. Take a moment here in your tabletop, taking your hands right beneath your shoulders. Press that left hand onto the floor. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Hold here. I'm reaching my arm up and back. And release. Opposite side, left hand, left arm reaches up. Breathe into your side body, breathe into your shoulder. And then release. We'll come up, downward facing dog. Take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Press your left hand onto the floor. Bend your left knee generously. And then lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Hold here. That left hand can be on the floor, shin, or thigh. You're in a twist. Lengthening that arm to a comfortable breath, and then opposite side. Right hand on the floor, shin or thigh. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. So generous bend to your right knee. You can lengthen your left leg for a deeper stretch in hamstrings, hips, and glutes. Don't forget to breathe here. And then release your hands to your shins. We're going to inhale halfway up. Exhale, release, sweep your arms up overhead. You're grounding through your feet. Anytime you come up to standing, it's a good opportunity to reset, re-engage with your breath, with your presence. Throughout the class, we're practicing arriving to the present moment. Inhale. Exhale. Draw your shoulders down. Inhale. Exhale, mountain pose. You're active and you're strong. Let's lift into an extended mountain pose. Arms lift, palms face each other. So as you're here, you're lifting your gaze up towards the ceiling. Your heels are grounded on the floor. Chest is open, arms radiate. Hold the pose. Release your hands. This time, interlace your fingers behind you. Draw your shoulder blades closer together. Gently lift your gaze up towards the ceiling. And then invite a little bend to your knees. Fold down. Keep your elbows extended behind you. Soften the neck. Inhale, exhale. Release your hands to your shins. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Second round. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Being mindful of softening the neck, the head. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Let's this time roll up slowly. Head comes up last. Extend or mountain pose, hands framing your hips here. Imagine that if I try to move you, it'd be difficult to do so. This is a different level of presence. Core is active. You're rooted on the ground. Eyes can be opened or closed. Let's take a powerful breath. Inhale here, exhale, side out. Building that bridge of the physical, mental, emotional body. Inhale again, you can exhale, side out. Noticing here, as we build that bridge of the physical, mental, emotional body, we're welcoming our experience. You can soften your mountain pose here. We'll shift into a warrior two. Take your left foot forward and then take your right leg back. That right foot is in a diagonal. There's a natural opening here in the hips. Left arm stacks over that left thigh. Take your gaze over your left hand. Now, as you take your gaze over your left hand, your fingertips radiate in opposite directions. So imagine a line of energy from one fingertip to the other. Legs are active. There are these scissors attempting to close, but they can't. That means your glutes and your quads are active, your heels are stable on the floor. It's a pose that radiates strength. In each pose, look for that effort and that ease. We're looking for that paradox in our bodies. And to be applied in other parts of our lives as well. That's part of that holistic practice, connecting our physical bodies to our daily lives. We release our hand right behind our thigh, Lift your left arm up. Keep a bend to that left knee. Side body stretch. You're also strengthening throughout the back. Back to center, warrior two. Take your gaze over that left hand. Inhale. Exhale. Imagine you're holding a ball between your hands. Right arm comes over and hold and hover here. Core is active. Inhale. Exhale, release your elbow right onto your thigh. Lengthen that right arm up towards the ceiling. Now, you can either remain here, extending your arm up, or you can lengthen that left knee. You can still have a little bend to that left knee, and then drop your hand to your shin or all the way down towards the floor. Up to you. Inhale here, exhale. Keep your gaze up towards your hand, up towards the floor. Or keep your gaze up towards the ceiling. You do have the option of keeping your gaze down towards the floor if that creates strain on your neck. Inhale, exhale. Release both hands to frame that left foot. Now pivot that right foot so your toes are facing the front. Hands are right beneath your shoulders. Press that right hand onto the floor. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Inhale and exhale. Release your hand. Step back into your plank pose. From your plank pose, lift back up into your downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale. Remain in that downward facing dog. Now plank pose. Hold your plank pose, a breath or two. Lift back up, downward facing dog. Take 2 breaths here in your downward facing dog, increasing that strength, that endurance. Inhale, exhale. Now start to lift that right leg, bend that right knee, stack your hips to the right. And then right knee towards that right elbow. You're hovering, lifting your core up towards the ceiling. Pressing through your palms, lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips, generous breath, effort and ease in all these poses, noticing that paradox in your body. And then release your foot back down towards the floor, generous breath. Lift your left leg, bend your left knee, stack your hips. Left knee towards that left elbow, hover. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. And then release your foot back down towards the floor. Let's take a child's pose, dropping our knees onto the floor. Knees are either close together towards the edges of your mat. There are 2 expressions for your child's pose. The most common is your arms are stretched out in front, palms on the floor. I'll go ahead and demonstrate another child's pose, is where you drop your hands so the backs of your hands are framing your feet. Now I'm very purposely rolling and collapsing my shoulders forward. Forehead on the floor or on the mat. Collapse your body. Invite an intentional breath. Two more breaths. Release your hands. Start to shift back up into an 8 tabletop. Hands right beneath shoulders. Press that left hand onto the floor. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Hold. Release. Opposite side, left arm reaches up. Exhale, release. We'll lift up. Downward facing dog. In your down dog, take your gaze right between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Make sure your feet are hips width distance apart. You're distributing weight around the edges of your feet. Left hand on the floor, shin or thigh. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. There's a good bend to your left knee. Lengthen your right leg for a deeper stretch in hamstrings, hips, and glutes. Press that right heel onto the floor. Don't forget to breathe. Release. Right hand on floor, shin or thigh. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Generous bend to that right knee. Lengthen your left leg. Apply some extra weight on that left heel. Notice glutes, hips, and hamstrings. There's a lot going on. You're also in a twist. Inhale, exhale. You're lengthening your arm. Powerful breath. Release your hand, hands to shins. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release. Your choice how you come up to standing. Take your arms up overhead. Hands meet in front of your heart center or hands framing your hips. Whatever supports your expression right now. Welcome your breath. As we welcome our breath, we welcome our experience. Inhale. Exhale, eyes can be closed or open. A breath of gratitude, we inhale and exhale. Eyes can start to open up. We'll shift into our warrior two, right foot forward. Left leg steps back. Yes, right foot forward, left leg steps back. Left foot is in a diagonal, 90-degree bend to that right knee, arms to that T. Now take your gaze over that right hand. Find a point across the floor, room to keep that gaze steady. As you practice a steady gaze, you practice a steady mind. Ground through your heels, imagine your legs with these scissors attempting to close. Shoulders are drawn down. Practice a breath, inhaling from your heels all the way to the crown of your head. Release that left hand behind your thigh, lift your right arm up. Side body stretch, you're lengthening throughout the lower back. Strengthening and lengthening. And then back to center. Warrior two, steady gaze. Effort and ease in each pose. We release our elbow right onto our thigh, lift our left arm up towards the ceiling, either keeping your gaze up or dropping your gaze down towards the floor. Sink your hip down. Sink that right hip. Optional, remain here or extend your leg, drop your hand to shin or all the way down to the floor. Inhale, and then exhale, release your hand. Both hands frame your right foot. Take your hands maybe right beneath your shoulders. Pivot that left foot so now you're in a low lunge. Press that left hand right beneath your shoulder. And then lift that right leg, right arm up. Hold. Keep that right hip lifted. And release your hands. Step that right leg back. Inhale, exhale. You're in your plank pose. Hold your plank pose. And then lift up into your downward facing dog. Deep belly breath in that down dog. And then plank pose. Hold your plank pose. Another deep belly breath. About 2 breaths in your plank pose. Glutes, quads, core activated to support you. You're pressing through your palms. Lift back up. Downward facing dog. In your down dog, lift your right leg, bend your knee, stack your hips. Right knee towards that right elbow, hover. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Invite a generous breath here. Lift your left leg, bend your left knee, stack your hips. Release your foot back down towards the floor. Inhale and exhale. We'll release down into a plank pose from your downward facing dog. From your plank pose, belly down towards the floor. So knees on the floor, drop your belly. Interlace your fingers behind you or just shoot your fingers behind you. You're engaging around the quads here and the glutes, core, open chest as you lift up. Exhale, release. Keep your gaze forward. Inhale up. Exhale, release. Third time, inhale up. Exhale, release. Two more times. Inhale up. Exhale, release. On this next round, remain there an extra breath. Inhale, exhale. And then release that left cheek onto the floor. Drop your shoulders. Let your breath collapse. Let it be what it needs to be. Very purposely soften the body. You're supported by the ground. Your body is not active. This is a purposeful pose of letting go and of softening the body. That is part of a holistic practice. We appreciate both when our bodies are active and also when they're relaxed and passive. Three more breaths here. Lengthen your inhale and exhale if you have trouble concentrating. And after about 3 breath cycles, one last round, same pose. Either interlace your fingers behind you or just point your fingertips behind you. Inhale, lift up. Be soft and gentle with your lower back. Exhale, release. Move with your own pace, at your own pace with your breath into your second, third, fourth round. Inhaling up. Exhaling. Releasing. Noticing that contrast, activating the body. Inhaling up. Softening the body. Exhaling. Releasing. Inhaling up. Activating the body. And then exhaling, releasing. On that 5th round, remain there an extra breath. Inhale up. Hold. Quad strength. Glute strength. Core strength. Throughout your spine. Lengthening and opening. Release your opposite cheek onto the floor. Very purposely soften from the neck. Down the length of your spine to your hips. Down to your ankles. Noticing where can you soften a little bit more towards the floor. Three more breaths. Inhale. And exhale. Release your pose. We'll go ahead and transition. Hands framing your hips, hands framing your chest. Let's lift up into our tabletop. Bend your knees here. Hands are right beneath your shoulders. Let's protect our spine. Inhale up, lift your tailbone. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale up. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale up. Lifting your tailbone in that cow pose. Exhale, round your spine. We'll come back to a neutral tabletop position. And then we'll prepare for balance. Make sure your hands are grounded on the palm and your palms are grounded on the floor, right beneath your shoulders. Lift your left leg so it's parallel to the floor. Activate that lower back strength around the glutes and quads as well. Lift your right arm up. Your gaze can either look forward or down towards the floor. Make sure that right shoulder isn't close to your ear. Draw it down. Lift your core up towards the ceiling. Notice that effort and ease. And then release your hand, release your knee. One round cow and cat pose. And then opposite side. Lift your right leg. Now lift your left arm, right leg are parallel to the floor. Notice that effort and ease. Notice if this side is different from the opposite side. We tend to favor different sides that are stronger or more flexible. Release your hand, release your knee. One final cow and cat pose. And release. Squeeze on the floor. Knees bent. Hands on your knees. Taking a moment to notice the effects of the practice in the body. We've created heat in our body. We've let go. We've received. We've worked on our strength, flexibility, our balance. Notice any difference in how you feel versus the beginning of class. Together, let's take an intentional breath, inhaling and exhaling, releasing the to-do list of the morning and the afternoon. It's part of practicing that present moment awareness. Deep belly breath. Inhaling and exhaling for the day we've had so far. Inhaling and exhaling for this moment. And then inhaling and exhaling for the rest of our day. If your eyes are closed, we start to open our eyes. We'll release tension throughout the neck and shoulders, areas that carry a lot of stress. Just drop your chin towards your chest and very slowly move from one direction to the next, either completing a full circle with these neck rolls, or you can move just from one shoulder to the next. That's very beneficial. Taking care of the back of the neck, upper back, sides of the neck. Remain in any spot that might feel a little tense. I like to remain here for about 10 breaths to give yourself a sense of ease, of no hurry. If you prefer to work on some meditation, you can do that as well. 2 more breaths. Start to open your eyes if your eyes are closed. A little twist here before we start to lay down on the floor. Take your left hand on your knee, twist towards the right. Now you're gripping your knee to intensify your twist, so feel free to grab that knee. Chin can point downwards towards the floor. Still shift that chin towards your shoulder though. And the opposite side. Grab your left knee. Go back to center one last round. Release, come back to center. Start to lengthen your legs out in front of you. Palms up towards the ceiling, chin towards chest, slowly release. Activate your glutes, your quads, your core, and hover. Feet can float off the floor. Any shaking is fine. Hold here. Drop your head back. Inhale here, exhale, side out. Start to bring both feet together. Collapse your knees down towards the floor, a little butterfly pose. Let's take our hands to our belly, our chest. We always need more practice, being more aware of the breath. Take at least 3 deep, generous breaths, the largest breath that you can imagine here. This is the full breath that you can go back to at any time in your day. You can exhale, side out. From here, we'll still remain here a few more breaths. Either keep your hands on your belly and chest, or you can shift your hands to a different position. Two more breaths here. Softening the spine, hips. And now release the pose. Again, lengthen both legs. Lift your arms up overhead. Full body stretch here. Lift your abdomen up towards the ceiling. And then release. Bend your right knee. Hand towards your knee. One round. Forehead up towards your knee. Flex your left foot towards the front. Hold. And then drop your head. Opposite side. Round your spine. Forehead towards knee. Drop your head up. Bend our right knee, lengthen our leg up towards the ceiling. Interlace your fingers here. Drop your leg towards the left and hold. Focus on your glute and hip and hamstring. Now towards the right, hold. Towards the center, lengthen your leg as much as you can here. And now drop your leg very slowly and mindfully. You're activating your core. Bend your left knee, lengthen your leg up towards the ceiling. Interlace your fingers behind knee or thigh. Drop your left leg towards the right. Breathe into that left hip, left glute, lower back, hamstring. Back to center, opposite side. Back to center, lengthen your leg as much as you can here. Slowly release your heel back down towards the floor. Activate your core here. Bend both knees, grab your feet with your hands, lengthen one leg more than the other, bend both knees, rock to the left, to the right. We're gonna get that final stretch in the ankle, the toes and ankles, tops of the feet. Your calves behind your knees, hamstrings. You're even massaging and opening throughout the lower back and mid back, especially if you rock to the left or to the right. You can further open up your hips here by bending both knees or lengthening both legs as much as you can. Take a few moments here. And then drop your legs. We'll prepare for our final resting pose, our Shavasana. Lengthen your legs. Palms face up towards the ceiling. There's a diversity of yoga classes that are offered, yet this last resting pose is very universal. And it's the pose that we hold the longest. There's a lot of wisdom here of being with the body and not doing very much. Noticing the wisdom of doing nothing, we welcome our breath, we welcome our body, we welcome our experience. Let's inhale here, exhale, side out. And then you can allow your breath to go back to its natural rhythm, or if you want to practice some full deep breaths, go ahead and do that. It does take practice. Soften your forehead and jaw, down to your neck and your shoulders. Down the length of your arms, your wrists, palms, and fingertips. Perhaps even imagine those fingertips float a little bit more. Soften the upper back, mid back, lower back. Down to the hips, behind the knees and ankles and toes. We'll start to shift our attention back to our breath, inviting a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. You can invite a full body stretch, lifting your arms up overhead, interlacing your fingers, pointing your toes. You also have the option of turning your body to the left or right side, allowing it to remain heavy and relaxed. And once again, purposely invite a generous breath and a leisurely breath. And after a breath, we'll start to make our way up to our seat. Come to sit in a cross-legged position or on your ankles. Move slowly. There is no hurry. We've been practicing presence and awareness throughout the class, so take a moment to make sure that your seat is in integrity with everything you've learned today. Spine long, shoulders relaxed, eyes closed or eyes open. We'll take a moment to appreciate our breath. Let's take our hands in front of our heart center. We'll seal the class with an intentional breath. Inhale here and exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. Namaste.